Maybe movies.
Well, go on then.
Well, no, you go on then.
Well, it was only my idea. I thought you were going to go and actually do it.
No, I'm not doing it, you do it.
All right then, all right.
Well, go on then.
I'm trying. It's not... The curtains aren't working.
What do you mean they're not working?
They look like curtains and they feel like curtains, but it's almost like they're painted on.
What the hell?
Oh, look. Fresh wine.
Beer.
I tell you what we should do. We should take this under advisement. We should sit and have a meeting and discuss how we proceed from here. Does that
I think that
sound like a
good
good idea?
The best plan.
Yes. And for some strange reason, I feel the need to take my socks off. I'm not quite sure why.
Well, you are full of strange odds.
Well, yes. That just seems an appropriate thing to do right now. What is it? What do we got here? Ooh, Zin Pandal.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed. I won't ask what you've got, because it's probably going to be the same as always, isn't it?
Beer.
What's that? It looks like a festive turd.
Yeah. I'd say that was a correct assessment.
That wasn't there before, was it?
No, I don't think it was.
I don't want to touch it. Should I touch it?
I don't know.
No,
Yeah, touch it, come on.
No, I'm not going to touch it. But there's something behind here, look.
Oh.
They're like mini festive turds? I don't know what he's been eating, look.
I don't know if I dare.
Well, you know I can't, so...
It's chocolate.
Are you sure? It might just smell like chocolate, I mean...
Well, chocolate.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'll put that back there in case it destroys the magic.
That's chocolate too.
Chocolate. Popcorn.
Yeah.
Beer. Wine. Do you think we're being fattened up for something? I'm going to leave those over there.
So now I'm feeling not so hungry.
Welcome again, as always, and I'm going to get cramped straight away. I keep doing this, I'm really sorry. That's better. Hello, and thanks for joining us again for episode 14 of Maybe Movies.
14 already.
I know, it's going fast, isn't it? It's a bit like life, really.
Way too fast.
Yes, yeah. So, as you will know by now, obviously this is the last of our episodes for November. If you've been following us this month, then you'll know that we have been having a play around with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which we concluded last week. And this week we'll be finishing off Acts 2 and 3 of our new version of Fight Club, which I think on the titles, I think I put it down as Fight Off.
Fight Off.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
If anybody has any other suggestions, then please let us know, because that'll be interesting to see what
other people think.
Yeah. I remember.
Contact with other beings would be nice.
Yeah, it would. it really would, because we need to know that it's not just us.
It's not just us in here, is it?
So, a couple of very quick shout-outs.
Oh, of course.
This week, to a couple of other content creators, actually. One is to the channel Chilled Cow, which is a lo-fi hip-hop channel, which is absolutely fantastic. And especially at the moment, because it's really good concentration music for when I'm editing all of these. So thank you very much, guys. Your help is much appreciated. The other one is a shout out to our friend Dean Evans and his channel and his company Billion Bytes, who we've worked with a number of times. If you've seen the other show that we do during the lockdown, you'll have seen at least one of the short films that I made with Dean a few years ago called Heaven Sent.
Yes.
And kind of always in talks about doing more stuff. So it's been a while since we mentioned him, so just thought I'd say hello. And really pleased to hear that you've been getting some much needed work recently. So good one. Nice, good on you, man. And last one on a bit more of a personal shout out. Celui-ci, c'est pour mon ancien ami Jérôme, qui j'ai connu quand j'habitais en France. Et on se le découvrait sur Facebook il y a quelques années. Et il a juste trouvé qu'on fasse ça. Et puis, salut! Et j'espère qu'on peut revoir aussitôt que possible.
I'll take his word for it. I never passed French.
Okay, neither did I. No, I did. But it took living in France to get it down properly. With that all said and done, I think we can jump back in.
Cool.
And see what is in our secret weapons this week. As I recall, we got as far as the end of Act 1.
Yes.
Which I think, if you check next to last week's, you'll see that was at the point where he moves into Papistry.
That's right. Yep.
And
that's what I have here.
We're going to look now at Act 2, which is going to take us through until the fight with his boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. What have you got first?
It's a fairly small scene, but my first pick is the scene that I've labelled "Fighting in Dads."
The scene in the bathroom.
The scene in the bathroom, yes.
Which one? Because there's two, isn't there?
Well, it's my dad never went to college. He thought it was really important that I go to college, so I went to college and then graduated college.
Yes, another one, yes.
And it's interposed. It's a conversation that's interposed with little details about the actual the way that he changed their life for the fighting. It was the reason to keep their hair short and their nails clipped and things like that. And it's about this sort of lifestyle change, but it's also about that where we come from, that dad mentality that we see so much of in Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So
absolutely,
I thought it was just a nice juxtapositional scene, because it's one of the ones that it's most explicit about its attitude towards family and fathers in particular, which of course is a big part of what drives Cameron's actions. And also it lays out Tyler's philosophy quite neatly in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I can see that. Partly
by his little anecdote about his dad and not needing another woman in his life, and also the montage of these are the reasons you self-improve.
Yes.
It's not because somebody expects you to be pretty or because you have to wear a tie to the office. It's because you don't want to get your hair yanked. You don't want to gouge someone's eyes out accidentally. You don't want to... Practical considerations. It's all Tyler's philosophy.
And in our new version of it, this is going to be a bit more... it's a bit more coincidental, because in the original film, it's Jack talking about himself, they're talking about the same person.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's just, it shows that communion between them.
Yeah.
That they both had similar experiences growing up. Okay. Yeah, I like it.
Again, it's one of those scenes, it's not like I feel any particular need to change it, because it works in both versions of the story. There's no third party like Sloane involved to complicate things. I think the scene sits as it is. It's just interesting to look at with this new lens of things. And also, I just like the way it ties into certain elements from Cameron's journey.
Of course, absolutely. With regards to just sort of generally a couple of things that I noticed. I know Tyler mentions that he's been in Papistry for about a year.
Yes.
which again in the original film coincides with about the length of time that he's been having problems with his insomnia,
That's right, yes.
which I thought was quite nice. And because there's always been, I don't think it's, as far as I'm aware, unless it's in the book, I've not read the book, all of the material that Jack finds in there that he's reading from.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be stuff that he's written in his worst moments? Or is it just literally stuff that was left there from the previous tenant? And I was thinking, coming back to what you were saying last time about
The book's written from Jack's perspective, so he's just as unreliable in the book as he is in the film.
Okay. So I didn't know whether it was.
But I do think the Reader's Digests were a real thing.
Okay, they're supposed to be by him.
No, I think they were real.
Oh, I never doubted that they were real. I was just trying to. I didn't know whether the suggestion was supposed to be that they had been written by him.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all, no.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching it, it got me thinking, because you were saying before, has Tyler been drugging him, but that's why he doesn't remember meeting him prior to their meeting on the plane, and is one of the things that he was doing to him was getting him to write all of this stuff.
Oh, I see. No, I don't think it makes sense because that's exactly the sort of thing, for starters, that's exactly the sort of thing you'd find in Reader's Digest.
Okay. Yes, that's true.
So I do think, because again, we know that Chuck was drawing a lot of examples from things he'd experienced in life or conversations he'd had with people and things like that.
And just transpose them into...
Yes, because it's wonderful. Because it works as a wonderful metaphor for his inner processes as well, isn't it?
That's true. I obviously went too deep into that one.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Claw my
possibly.
way back out again.
Yeah.
For my number one,
Mm-hmm.
I had the second bathroom scene,
Okay.
which is a little bit later, so I don't know if you've got anything before that.
Remind me, which one is that?
That is, if you could fight any historical figure, who would you fight?
Oh, right.
I'm asking you a question.
I don't have an answer.
Really? Oh.
No, it's not something I ever think about.
I just don't.
Fair enough.
All right, okay, so why'd you pick that one then?
There's a nice through line here to our version of Paris.
Oh, yes, I know what scene that is. It's the one I've labelled carving wood.
Tyler asks him, no, which historical figure would you fight? And he says, Gandhi.
Yeah.
And he says, good answer. If you watch Jack's reaction, it's that kind of smug little smile, like he's won brownie points from his best friend. And I saw the correlation there between what we were saying before with Cameron on the phone to Rooney.
Oh, of course, yes.
And it's
playing up to what he thinks Tyler wants him to
yes,
be.
and as soon as he comes into the room, he gets that kind of like, yay, he likes me
Mm.
kind of thing. There's a similar thing going on in that scene.
I see what you mean. All right, yeah, I see what you mean. I like it, yeah.
And so that was it. It was just a very quick one on that one. I mean, I must admit, so I have found the way that we've done this time, it's very interesting, but it's created difficulties. I'm finding more, I think I may have said something about this last time, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding more, I'm looking at how the narrative works in terms of the new dynamic we've set up, as opposed to how specific scenes would play out with a different person.
Oh, of course, but we always knew that
Yeah, I think...
when we came up with the concept in the first place, we knew this was going to be different.
Yes, I think I didn't expect... it was one of those things like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's like, okay, it's a little bit more work than I was expecting. Not not dissing that, but it's just... I've found more with this one than with the last one. It's been difficult to isolate things that I really wanted to go, oh, well, that really stood out.
That's a little bit... there's so much that happens so quickly, it's difficult to pick particular moments as standing out. I mean, that's certainly the case for me. I'm struggling, even at this very moment, I am struggling with what my pick for my second scene would be.
Well, the second one that I had is when Marla calls him.
See, it's one of the ones that I'm seriously considering.
Okay.
So why don't we just move on to that?
First thing I noticed about that scene is she calls him at home.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, at Paper Street.
How does she doesn't have that number.
I hadn't thought of that. That's another... my brain switches off sometimes.
And when he asks her how did you find me? And she says, you gave me that forwarding number. Because remember, he gives her a business card.
Yeah.
And writes a number on the back. So he must have written the Paper Street number on the back.
Oh, God. Yeah, right. But actually, so now we do have to answer that question now, though, don't we? Where did she get that number from?
Well, as I was saying, I'm guessing that he must have written the paper street number on the back of the card.
But he gave her the card before he met Tyler.
But he was already... So no,
Tyler's real. Tyler's real.
Sorry, I
he gave her the
completely
card before
forgot.
he met Tyler.
How did she get the number? I didn't think of that.
Do we have a possible break point here? Is it like tennis? One break point. We could do that actually. We haven't actually addressed that yet. It's never come up. So
It does start to break, doesn't it? I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, we know that Tyler's been stalking him for a while, so it's conceivable that he knows who Marla is. Considering what we know of his philosophy, why would he drag her into that situation?
he wouldn't.
I don't think he would.
And unless we go down that route that he's, as I said, he's been stalking him. He's been either brainwashing him for some time, which again is something we need to address because why? What is the end game here? Why would he go to all the trouble of brainwashing a complete stranger and then meeting him? What is he setting him up for? Unless he's setting him up to be a patsy.
Launching a monkey into space.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense. So he
says it at the beginning.
So he's the test case to see if this works.
Yeah, man, we
He's
launch
the
monkeys
control.
into space, slaps them on the back of their head.
Yes, of course. So if you can get him to work, then he can move ahead with the rest of his scheme.
Project Mischief works, Project
Yes.
Mayhem works, the whole thing works. So in this case, he has been manipulating him for some time and on some level brainwashing him.
Yeah, and so it may be just that at some point Jack knows the number because he's been to Paper Street previously, even though he doesn't remember it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, because he's quite anxious, talking to Marla, trying to sort this thing out,
Yeah.
he writes the wrong number down on the thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What I found interesting about it, and again, this relates back into, unfortunately, this is more like the original film itself, is he doesn't hang up, he just leaves the phone there and leaves it talking.
Just leaves her talking, yeah.
And I just like that thing about what you were saying again with regards to...
It's called a malicious act.
Yeah.
If he knows that if he hangs up, she'll know, and she might call someone else or call him back. If he leaves her thinking she's talking to him.
But I thought it was a nice analogy to what you were saying with the gallery scene in our new version of...
Oh, that just walking away.
Yes, I can't deal with this.
Just putting it down and
the
walking
other
away.
half deal with it. The dialogue itself from that doesn't change. She looks
Of
at her,
course.
she looks at him and goes, "Did I call you?"
Oh, that's right, and of course, yes.
What I did say with regards to this new version of it is we would lose his kind of fevered dream / memory of them having sex when Jack wakes up the next morning.
Also, this is a John Hughes film.
Yes.
So
PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we would lose that, which again, unfortunately, it loses. Well, so we would have to take that out anyway because it would lose context.
Yes, we're definitely losing something here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you have for this scene?
Again, it's one of those pivotal scenes. It brings Marla back into the situation, complicates things. Like I said, it's got this callousness to it. Because seriously, think about it. Up to this point, Jack has always been a relatively sensible, kind of good-natured, law-abiding citizen, doing the right thing, always trying to think the best of people and all of that stupid shit, even though he knows all of these cynical facts about the world. And Tyler's the really cynical one who says it's all bullshit, you should just forget about it. When somebody's actually trying to commit suicide, he's the one who puts down the phone, Tyler's the one who picks it up.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that callousness complicates the situation by bringing Marla back into it. By bringing Sloane back into it, I apologise.
So then, I suppose if we're talking about this scene, then we have to talk about her reasons for... Is this another thing that's in her book? Attempt suicide.
yeah, I don't know, maybe. Or maybe it's just one of those classic cry for help.
Cry for help.
Situations.
She's got to the point where whatever's going on in her own life, in this slumming it setup that she's got going, it's got a bit too real for her.
So there's that kind of just give me attention type cry for help as well. Which, in some ways, like on the first viewing of that scene in the original film, it seems like that's what Marla's doing.
Yes.
She's just trying to get some attention.
Yeah. So we can feed into that for Sloane for this version then. Okay. What?
So that's my take anyway.
How's that choice nugget you've got going on over there?
That's quite nice, actually.
Should I try them?
I would recommend it.
Okay, go on. Let's give it a go. Hang on. I used to have a bowl like this when I was a kid.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. That's cool. So we kind of came through these pretty quickly again. What did you have for your number 3?
My number 3 is actually the final scene of the act. It's boss's office.
Okay, so I'm going to, if I may, I'm going to gazump you there again.
Yeah, go for it.
It's the scene prior to that in the office when he finds the note.
Oh, the first talking there, talking to the boss. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes on about coming in with an Armalite, blah, 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 blah.
I did consider it briefly, but I feel that the other scene is the stronger one. But no, you go first.
And what I would like to see happen in our new version of this scene is that he fails. He makes the point, in the original, he makes the point, Tyler's words coming out of my mouth. And he can channel Tyler because he is Tyler. But he's not in this.
Okay. So at the moment he tries to be like Tyler but fails?
Exactly.
Okay, so what do you think the result would be?
I don't think he'll lose his job, because that would break the plot.
Yeah.
He would certainly get a disciplinary for it, possibly even a written warning or something.
Okay, right.
But, excuse me, I like the fact, I imagine him starting at it and trying for it, and then his boss isn't buying it. And as his boss isn't buying it, his resolve starts to crumble. Possibly even the phone ringing distracts him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that, because it's like, yes, we see the direction that he's going. He's becoming more and more Tyler the Space Monkey, as you say.
Yeah.
But is that he's not as self-actualized as he could be. Yeah, as I said, his resolve crumbles.
He has a moment of failure.
Yeah. I don't know how you think about that.
I think it's interesting. I'm not sure what it adds, but it's an interesting take on it. Yeah, especially with this being, as it says, he's not Tyler, so he doesn't have those actual words. It does make some sense, certainly.
Trying to properly separate the fact that he is not Tyler in this.
Yeah.
And he spends his life
being
downtrodden and being...
You know what, actually, the more I think about it, the more I like it, because it going into the final scene, that gives it a different context going in. It's an actual act of desperation on his part.
Again, he tries the confidence man act,
yes,
and it doesn't work, so he tries a desperation play.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And it works.
Yeah.
So it recontextualizes that scene. So yeah, on that grounds, I have to approve, actually. Yeah, it's gold star.
Thank you. Okay, so you've got the...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes on between them. There's a bunch of scenes that I could have picked, but I think the actual capper of that act is one of the best scenes in the film. The confrontation with the boss in the office, beating the hell out of himself.
It's so well played. If you've not seen Fight Club, then go and watch it.
Oh, absolutely.
If only for this scene, it's one of the best things ever.
But again, this one, it's recontextualized. This isn't a universe where a man with multiple personalities has learned how to beat himself up.
No.
It's a man, in an act of desperation, trying to get the upper hand on his employer, literally learning to beat himself up. He hasn't learned it from Tyler. He just does it.
Yeah.
And does it so beautifully. So beautifully, and because it is the capper again, it's the one. It's it's the opposite of the scene with Marla. It's the unwrinkling of a problem.
Yes.
Suddenly, work is no longer an issue. Life, as he knows it, as society knows it, is no longer an issue. He is freed from the shackles, and free to be launched finally into the stratosphere.
Yes.
On Tyler's trajectory.
Absolutely, no. That is. Again, with what we've now done for the previous scene, it works beautifully. It's that nice escalation up until, as you said, up until the end of this act within the film. On a general note, with regards to that scene and the homework stuff and the scenes that interlace this of the other members of the Fight Club going out and trying to lose fights.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I never thought about it before. Essentially what Tyler's doing is a recruitment drive. When you get into Act 3, the next time that you're in Fight Club, one of the two people you see fighting is the guy with the hose and the priest.
Yes.
I didn't twig that the priest would have joined the club, but I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, because imagine, a philosophy like Fight Clubs might appeal to a priest because it's not a sin. You're not committing a crime against someone. Someone is willingly engaging in a contest of strength against you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an act of violence against another human being with the intent to commit harm. It's not inherently sinful by its nature.
No,
it's always consensual.
Well,
nobody, if you don't want to fight, you don't have to turn up to the club.
Well, everyone knows that God's not against smiting the odd
this is true.
nation or two.
But I was just saying, just even to the pious mind, there's a certain attraction to the philosophy of the Fight Club.
Absolutely.
Because it's all consensual, it's all by agreement. You're right. Also, another thing I forgot, and of course, is the beautiful thing about that is this kind of also covers the homework scene, because of course this is Jack losing a fight.
It is, yes.
He just found an interesting way to do it.
Lost a fight to himself.
Yeah. And his boss at the same time.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's what, he gets to walk away with all those paychecks and all that equipment, and his boss gets the reputation of being that ass.
Yes,
who put that guy in hospital.
Yes. And probably ends up with the disciplinaries himself.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. You got to wonder.
You have to wonder that they never address it because he never goes back.
Because who's going to report him?
True.
That's the whole point. They're giving him the paychecks to hush it up, aren't they?
Nice. It did. When I was watching that scene again, and I hadn't thought about it before, there's another nice analogy there between his boss and Rooney.
Yeah. Yeah, because he does not get it, does he?
No.
He does not get it. Yeah, talk about the petty tyranny of bureaucracies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
And just another random thing that I noticed as well, which I didn't know whether it was put in there on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
When he's talking to some guys, I think it's later on in the film, and he's talking to some guys and they say, have you heard about the guy who started all of this? They say he was born in a mental institute.
No, that's Bob.
Well, when you say that about the mental institute, is that a sly nod to 12 Monkeys? Because Brad Pitt's the...
yeah.
Which I think would have come out before this.
Yes, man. 12 Monkeys is 96, I think.
Yes, that's the number I had in my head.
3 years before. Yeah.
Cool, so that does...
Good point, may have been. But yes.
That brings us to the end of Act 2.
It feels like it.
So, we move on to Act 3.
Indeed we do, yes. So now we have Fight Club every night. Everything's all picking up at this point.
Yes.
Now, I've got 3 scenes. I've not got a huge amount to say about 2 of them.
Okay.
So my first scene is simply Project Mayhem.
Okay, so I think I'm going to again jump in. Yeah, afraid so. It's the scene right before Project Mayhem with Marla in the house when Tyler's downstairs doing the bunk beds.
Oh, yes, shaved monkeys.
Just before that, when obviously Tyler spent the night. Jack's in the kitchen.
Oh, right, all right, yes, just after the all singing, all dancing crap of the world speech. Yes.
When he turns around and says, "What are you getting out of this?"
Yes.
Because obviously in our new version, Sloane isn't sleeping with Jack. What are we saying? I mean, does Jack have a thing for Sloane?
I think the implication is yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think in what we have in this case is a very, very subdued love triangle.
I wondered if that particular term would come up when I was thinking about this earlier.
Okay, right.
The only reason I thought about it was because of, I suppose this is a slightly tangential shout out to terrible writing advice.
Okay.
Because a lot of the time in there he goes
Good
on
old
about...
Bob, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he goes on a lot in there about terrible love triangles in films. So it just made... I just thought, as soon as I thought about it, it cropped up. So, again, thank you for brilliant content.
Oh, yeah. You should always take a look at bad writing advice.
Yes, but that's the thing. And it was more to do with Sloane's reaction to that because Sloane isn't into Jack.
Well, for starters, do we know that Sloane's not into Jack? Or she's just with Tyler because he made the move?
Oh, that's a good point, actually. I hadn't
Because
considered
her reaction was with Jack. Interactions were with Jack. She knows Jack. She met Tyler because of Jack.
Very true. I hadn't considered that. And again, that's what brings in, I suppose, it's Jack that she calls to come and check her breast.
Yeah.
Which I just took that on face value. In our new version, he is neutral in her eyes.
Yeah, because, well, this is the thing, because when she's like, why are you like this? Why do you hate me? I think it's a genuine question. I think she likes it. She keeps calling him for all of these personal emergencies. She keeps conniving reasons to talk to him.
Ah, interesting. Okay, we'll come back to that. Thank you. That answers it. Because again, I looked at it differently. I was being too literal again with the film, with the original film, and then trying to fit it into the new context.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Because again, in this one, it begs the question as well. They're having this conversation in the kitchen. There's all this noise going on in the basement. Obviously, in the original film, she can't hear it because it's not actually happening. Because Tyler's not in the basement.
Of course not. Oh, yeah, no, I do.
Whereas in this one, he is. So does she just ignore that? Or is it just noise that's happening in the background while they're having this argument?
I always figured it was noise happening in the background in the argument. It's one of those things that the reveal flashbacks never really covered. But my take on it would have been that it would have been or one of the other recruits.
Well, they weren't there at that point.
Yeah, I know.
Because this happens literally just before Project Mayhem starts.
Yes, but it doesn't mean they moved in. It just might be one of the guys from Fight Club building the stuff in the basement.
Yeah, I just assumed that none of them were actually living at Paper Street until they start turning up on the doorstep.
We're assuming that, and that's certainly Jack's narrative. But my assumption is it was one of the guys from Project Mischief.
Gotcha.
Who was actually doing it, and she was just ignoring the noise because she's used to mayhem happening in that house.
Okay, that works. So that again, that was a small thing.
Because those bunks had to come from somewhere. Because they were there when the recruits moved in.
Okay, so Project Mayhem.
Yes, so Project Mayhem is basically, it's my pick because this is where, in our version of the story, it all starts to turn. Up to this point, Jack has felt that he's a part of the inner circle. He's in this with Tyler. And then suddenly people start talking about Project Mayhem and how you don't talk about Project Mayhem. It's all starting to sound dismally familiar, and he's aware of being excluded from something. It's when the space monkey starts to become self-actualized, much in the way that Tyler has been preaching in his effort to create a space monkey. He's creating a self-actualized space monkey. Well, the other monkeys are singing and dancing.
No, it's taking
but
off.
He's not.
Yes. That's interesting because that does feed into what I had for my scene too, unless you had anything else about this one.
No, it's just because of the context it has in this new version of the story. It's pivotal because this is when he starts to break away from the programming.
So, because what I had for my number 2 kind of straddles 2 scenes, but I kind of included them as one.
Okay, yeah.
Is for very similar reasons. It's when Jack comes back on the bus and they're celebrating because they've done the big graffiti, the big smiley face on the side of the building.
Yeah.
And that's, as you say, that's that. For me, in the film in our new version, it's another moment of alienation because he is not part of that group.
Yeah.
And that kind of looking around when they're all looking up at him.
It's the scene I've marked beating Blondie.
And that's the other bit that I wanted to go to, all for these reasons. So it looks like we're on the same track.
I found that entire sequence.
So you
because
do
it's the lead into him beating up that entire sequence. I've just labelled beating Blondie because it's the culmination of the scene.
And I labelled
the sequence, should I say?
And I labelled it destroying something beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah, it's that whole thing. So it was kind of like the setup. It's that this is where, because in the original film, they're looking at him kind of in a certain sense of awe and expectation because they've done this thing. Whereas in this one, he's literally has been somewhere else and wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
So there's a certain degree of alienation on his part because, as you say, he's now no longer part of the inner circle.
Exactly, yes.
Which leads into the destroying something beautiful as a way of reaffirming his position within the group.
Yes. And also playing into earlier on with the escalating viciousness.
Yes. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Oh, God.
It's interesting because, like,
I missed that again.
Tyler's espousing a certain mindset in our version in order essentially to indoctrinate people to a cause.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's done is made his trite words true.
You know, he's become this carved from wood man that's willing to take whatever definitive action is he feels is necessary.
Mm.
And now he feels excluded.
Essentially, what you got, and it's the only way that the film makes sense in the new context.
Yeah, of course. It's why Jack turns on Tyler. You know, there's a process of things.
His control experiment turns out to be his biggest failure.
Yeah. And realising that, he abandons the house and the project.
Thank you, because right up until this moment, I was still convinced that this was going to break.
Yeah.
So now I understand that if you hinge the entire framework of the plot on that premise, then it could work.
Jack starts to rebel. Tyler sees it, realises that he's lost to his cause, vacates Paper Street en masse. Unfortunately, leaves some of the paperwork behind.
So does that mean then that we would lose the bit with him following him, trying to track him down?
Well, no, that would be the thing, isn't it? That's the final. That's Tyler realising, because he stole the ticket stubs and followed the trail, didn't he?
Yes.
So he went into Tyler's stuff, stole the ticket stubs and followed Tyler's trail. Him just going on that journey would be the final proof to Tyler. And of course, you know that every stop along the way, somebody from the local fight club is calling Tyler saying,
he was here, he was here, he was here.
And when he comes back, Paper Street's vacant except for some forgotten paperwork. Which, in my context, I don't even think it might have been forgotten. I think it might have been deliberately left behind. All right, let's see this play out. I've already put all the final pieces into play. Here you go, just so you can do your thing. So I do think he respects Jack somehow.
He does. Yes, you can try and do your thing because he already knows that his own people are in the cops and will stop him.
Yeah.
But it also means that he can turn this into a win because it's almost like by doing so, potentially he's setting Jack up as a patsy. If it doesn't go his way, Jack will take the fall. Tyler gets away scot-free.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, no, well done. No. Gold star for that, definitely. In fact, too, because, as I said, I was having trouble with this entire version of events because I couldn't conceive of that framework for the film. So, no, I have to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I kind of spoiled it for myself in a certain sense because my second scene, and the one that's most important, I've kind of just described, which is the reveal when Tyler and Jack finally confront each other.
No, that's basically a lot of what I was leading towards for my second scene, because it's the reveal. And of course, the reveal in this is not that Tyler is fictional, but he's very real and has been manipulating events from the very beginning. It's a sort of twisted Manchurian candidate type situation, but the candidate has gone off programming.
So what we could possibly do then, and that's
So he was meant to take the fall. He was meant to be the patsy.
Yeah.
He was meant to be the false head of the revolution. And if it worked, fine. He could carry on being the figurehead, and Tyler could go on doing what he wanted to do and expanding the operation. But if it went wrong in any way, he had a patsy and Jack.
So does that mean then instead of the reveal of the whole put your seats back in upright position, that kind of thing, where they reveal that they're the same person, when he gets back to Paper Street, he finds something that shows that he knew Tyler before he actually met him on the plane. The reveal would then have to be Jack figuring out that he'd been manipulated since prior to his first meeting with Tyler.
Yeah.
A video camera with some footage of him talking, or something like that.
Gosh, yes. Yeah, please return your seats to the upright position, the scene. I'd forgotten that transition, but yes, it's kind of... So he's been being manipulated and he's been being drugged, so I think it's not so much as who do you think I am, but why do you think you know me? You've been here before, sir. With Mr. Blur.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the reveal is that he's been doing things with Tyler that he doesn't remember doing.
Yeah. I like it.
So it's still that same scene, with the guy with the huge neck brace, everything all like that. But instead of who do you think I am, it's why do you think you know me? You were here last week with Mr. Durden, or you were here last month with Mr. Durden, or you were at you helped find the club, or whatever. There'd be a reveal that he's done something that he's been doing things with Tyler that he doesn't remember doing. How long has this been going on for? In fact, I'd like it to be not you were here last week or last month, but you were here last year.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's interesting that you should say that. No. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Brilliant. So I think that kind of brings us both up to our number threes. If you've got a number three.
I've got a number three.
Is it more of an honorary or?
It's kind of an honorary. It's a fundamental question.
Because I still think a lot of the next few scenes will play out almost exactly as they do.
With tweaks, yeah.
With tweaks. With the big one, of course, is the question of the scene with the gun in the mouth.
This is when my number three was the ending.
Yes.
And it's the one for me that broke it because the gun can't be in his hand.
Does Jack get shot or does Tyler get shot?
Well, see, this is the thing. This is because don't forget, up until we actually sat down and started talking about it, I was only looking at it from how I perceived the new version would work, and it broke it for me because as we now know, the gun can't be in his hand. Jack is, despite his vindictiveness, as you've said, isn't here. He's unwilling to. He doesn't want to see people die, so I don't think he would take Jack and Tyler's life.
Okay, yeah, okay, right.
That is, it seems it's out of character for him to want to kill Tyler. And it would be, because obviously we'd have the scene with them fighting in the basement of the building.
You see, I don't see it that way.
Okay.
At this point, we know what Tyler is. We know what Tyler is capable of. And we also know that he has the network and the means to enact it. We know that he won't stop. It's a Superman versus Zod moment.
Oh.
It's not just about this particular moment in time. It's about the fact that if he lets Tyler walk away, this will never stop. It will keep on going.
Because as I had it, I didn't see that it would be that's something that he would want.
No, I don't think he'd want to do it.
Yeah.
But I think he'd feel compelled. Because that's the thing. It's his entire shtick. He's an unstoppable personality. The network spreads everywhere. Everyone knows the secret knock. Everyone knows the first rule. It's out there. There's an actual network of people out there that Tyler could do anything with.
This ties back into what I was saying earlier with the thing about Sloane, is that looking at the premise that she was into Tyler, not Jack. Therefore, if they bring her in and they find out that he's killed Tyler, I looked at it from one of views that would she then be interested in Jack because of Tyler?
I see.
So he would lose the girl. He does something that's completely out of character for him by killing his friend. And for me, that as a narrative, that broke.
Okay. You see, I don't know, because I'd been going on the assumption that I'd said before that she actually is into Jack, and always has been.
Which makes more sense, and also plays more into a John Hughes film as opposed to a David Fincher film.
Also, there's the scene when he takes her to the restaurant and he's trying desperately to explain to her, and she's not believing him. And almost immediately, she's kidnapped by Tyler's people and dragged around. Yeah. So she knows that actually he was telling the truth, and Tyler, this crazy psychopath with an army of followers. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he would murder Tyler, but he would seriously incapacitate him.
Because that's the thing, is if he kills him, then when the members of Project Mayhem turn up, they will probably kill Jack.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe then the situation is somehow there's a second gun in the situation. We actually end up with both of them pointing guns at each other's mouths. Mm-hmm. And the question is who pulls the trigger. At this point, this has become a bit more of a political thriller than a psychological.
Yes, it has. Yeah, absolutely.
Story.
Okay.
And so I suppose, yes, you're right. Maybe we should stop because I was making assumptions about how it would go. That's the question. One's becoming increasingly megalomaniacal, but the other one's becoming increasingly vicious. Which one's going to actually pull the trigger on the other?
I think under the new set that we've got, I think Jack would pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You've been establishing this increasing viciousness in him.
See, I kind of think that, I mean, the whole point of capturing Sloane was to manipulate Jack, to get him to come to where he would be so he could have his big confrontation with him. But I think Tyler expected to win the confrontation. And I don't mean the fight. I don't think he thought there was going to be a fight. I thought he was going to talk him down. That he was going to, maybe re-engage his programming or something like that and talk him back over in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Jack is utterly on the warpath, as it were. And it's going to take no for an answer. And then the fight ensues. And then they end up in a situation where they're pointing guns at each other. Which one of them is actually pulling the trigger? And it's like, because you think about it, he's done these things and he's a political terrorist, but he made sure all the buildings were empty.
Yeah.
Did all these little things.
Which is something that was touched on. Did you see the drinkers? Drinker recommends that he did about Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that he does mention on that is about the fact that in spite of his overarching goal, underneath all of that, he's actually trying to improve people's lives.
Yes, he's not trying. He's not trying to cause terror in the strictest sense of like killing people for the purposes of creating terror.
Yes, he's trying to liberate people.
He's doing what would be classified as a terrorist act by destroying institutional things, but not actually killing any persons.
So how about this? So we have our standoff.
Mm-hmm.
Jack sees the bus pull up and then pulling out Marla, which is the switching point for him.
Yeah.
It results in a struggle between them.
Yeah.
Not as big a struggle as down in the basement because narratively we've already had a big fight between them. We don't want to see another one.
Mm-hmm.
Within that scene, he shoots Tyler. He's got a few seconds, a minute or so before they come up.
Yeah.
Hides the body, so when they come looking for him, Tyler's gone.
Tyler's not here.
Yeah. Does it work?
I kind of like it. It's a little bit vicious.
Mm-hmm.
And our new Jack apparently is a little bit vicious. I mean, it always was, but even more so. Okay.
And at that point, obviously they've got Sloane with them.
Yeah.
He says, no, leave her alone. She thinks they're going to kill her.
Realise
that maybe he is the guy I thought he was.
Yeah.
Boom, buildings blow up in the background. Scene.
Yep.
It works.
It does work. It's a bit of a political thriller.
It's a close one.
Disguised as something else.
I think that's the closest we've come yet to having a break. So,
it's a movie. Is it anything on the scale of what the original Fight Club is?
God, no. I mean, that's the next bit. Obviously, now that we've done this,
What we've got as a functional plot, do we have a movie?
we do. Yeah, well,
I mean, all right, by the skin of its teeth. I don't know. We need to find a term for the skin of your teeth award. The just barely scraping by as a movie.
oh dear, you're going to put me on the spot now after I think of something.
It's okay. We'll come back to this some other time.
Yes.
But we'll need to think of a term for this. But this one, by the skin of its very teeth. It's a bog standard political thriller versus Fight Club.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I know we said last week that we invited people to tell us whether or not if one breaks. But again, neither of them are broken, so we're fine. We still have two movies. It will certainly get at least as far as pre-production.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
But we now have to decide.
Which one wins?
And but what you're saying there, I think you're the
easily.
same as me. There's no contest, is there?
There is no contest.
Yeah, the new version of Ferris wins.
The new version of Ferris wins. It brings so many interesting little flourishes. We had a lot of fun with it.
Yes.
This one was work just to make it function.
Ooh, so how about the Pulling Teeth Award?
The Pulling Teeth Award, yes, because that's what it feels like trying to give that one a pass.
Yes.
Yes. A Pulling Teeth Award for Fight Off, was it? We're calling this one.
Fight Off, yes.
Yes.
If anyone would like to design a little trophy that we can display on screen somewhere for a Pulling Teeth Award, then please feel free to send it in.
I'm trying to think what the entries might look like in that competition. Oh.
Okay, so we've said That's so Fight Club. Ferris Bueller's Day Club.
Indeed.
gets a thumbs up from me.
And a thumbs up from me.
Brilliant. I was just coming back to, there was one thing that I thought about earlier.
Yeah.
Is Tyler my nightmare or my Tyler's?
I think it's almost exactly that.
Which suddenly made, as in the context of what we're doing here, suddenly made me think, are you my nightmare or am I yours?
Oh no, don't start on that again.
How can I not? It's
I'm
all
not-
a bit strange. I don't really.
I can't deal with the existential stuff. Existential stuff is just do.
Okay, let's
It's
enjoy popcorn and weird shit chocolate. It's not shit chocolate, but
poop chocolate shit.
nuggets. We should call them. Yes. So, by the skin of our teeth, we have a maybe movie.
We do indeed.
We have a clear
Just
winner.
Barely.
I would love to see that. Whew, that's been a tough one. It's really,
It was some work.
it's felt like it, but we've made it this far.
Indeed.
Hopefully, you'll come back and join us in a week's time.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you again for stopping by and joining us. And as always, please do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And obviously commenting on the videos. Please let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear them, and we always make an effort to try and answer as many of them as we can. And until next time, take care of yourselves, and ciao for now.
So, like, subscribe. TTFN. Cheerio.
Nugget? Ba 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 ba.
You're still here. But it's over. It's over. Look, just go home. All right? Just go. Go. But come back next week, okay?